Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite the task today. You gave us a huge amount of source material, really over 150 references.
Yeah, spanning the entire biblical narrative.
Exactly. And our mission really is to connect these dots. We're defining the incursion, these direct divine and demonic breaks into our physical world.
And showing how they form one single overarching supernatural story.
Right. One connected storyline.
It's a massive catalog, you're right. But the definition itself is, well, pretty tight. An incursion is any direct physical interaction.
Not just a feeling or an idea.
No, it's God speaking so you can actually hear it. It's an angel physically intervening in, say, a battle. Or, on the other side, it's demonic possession, real contact.
And the sheer range of these actions is, it's kind of mind-blowing when you lay it all out.
Definitely.
On the divine side, you have things like God leading Israel with that pillar of cloud and fire. Very physical, very visual.
The constant presence.
Or that moment where an angel just wipes out 185,000 Assyrian soldiers overnight.
A decisive intervention.
And then all of Jesus' miracles, they're listed too. Turning water to wine, walking on water. The sources frame these as major incursions.
And they absolutely are. But then you have the flip side, the antagonistic incursions. They show the enemy's strategy, really.
How so?
Well, it starts almost subtly, right? Satan tempting Eve in the garden. Then it gets more targeted, like that evil spirit, the sources say tormented King Saul.
Right, affecting a leader directly.
Exactly. And then it becomes deeply personal, intimate even, like when the text says Satan enters Judas just before the betrayal.
Wow. So seeing them all together like this, it really paints a picture of, well, constant conflict behind the scenes.
That's the idea. History isn't just human actions. It's this theater for a deeper supernatural war.
Okay, so let's zero in on a key point the sources really emphasize. Genesis 6, this is where they say the conflict really escalates. We need to talk about the sons of God incursion.
Ah, yes. The B'nai Elohim.
Who exactly are they, according to these texts?
The sources are quite clear here. They identify them as fallen angels.
Fallen angels.
Yes. And they often link this to the tradition found in texts like 1 Enoch, of the 200 watchers descending on Mount Hermon.
And what did they do? It wasn't just about marrying human women, was it?
No, that was part of it. But the core issue was the result. These unions produced the Nephilim violent hybrid offspring who corrupted humanity. And crucially, these watchers also taught forbidden knowledge.
Like what?
Things like advanced metallurgy, weapon-making, sorcery, astrology, things humanity wasn't ready for, which accelerated the corruption.
So this corruption became so pervasive, it required the flood.
That's the narrative connection, yes.
Yeah.
A drastic reset.
But the sources also stress that the giant problem, this Nephilim lineage, and it didn't completely end with the flood. They mentioned giants afterward.
Right, like the Anakim that the Israelite spies were so afraid of.
And Goliath, of course, almost 10 feet tall.
Exactly. So the problem persisted, which leads to the next major turning point, the Tower of Babel.
How does Babel fit into managing this ongoing supernatural threat?
Well, after Babel, the sources say God essentially made a strategic withdrawal, in a sense. He disinherited the nations.
Disinherited them. What does that mean?
Based on passages like Deuteronomy 32 and Psalm 82, God assigned the governance of the 70 nations listed in Genesis 10 to members of his divine council, these same sons of God who had rebelled.
Wait, he assigned the nations to the rebellious ones.
That's the interpretation. He kept Israel as his own portion, his inheritance, but he handed the other nations over to these lesser divine beings who then ruled them, often unjustly. These became the principalities and powers Paul talks about.
Okay, so that sets up the whole cosmic conflict then. History becomes about Yahweh eventually reclaiming those nations from these corrupt supernatural rulers.
Precisely. And that reframes Christ's entire mission. It wasn't just about individual salvation, it was cosmic warfare.
Culminating at the cross.
Absolutely. The cross is presented as like the cosmic D-Day. Colossians 2.15 is key here. It says Christ disarmed the rulers and authorities.
Those same principalities and powers.
The very same. He put them to open shame, triumphing over them by the cross.
What does disarmed mean in that context? It sounds very legal. And what was the debt that gave them power?
It is legal language. The sources focus on the certificate of debt, basically, the record of human sin and transgression, which acted as the legal basis for these fallen beings' authority over humanity and creation.
So our sin gave them leverage.
In a legal sense, yes. By dying on the cross, Christ paid that debt, effectively canceling the certificate. He nullified their legal right to rule. It wasn't just a power encounter. It was a legal victory that led to their public humiliation.
And the resurrection.
That's VE Day. Victory confirmed. Ephesians says God seated Christ far above all rule and authority and power and dominion. This confirms the defeat and sets the stage for the final execution of the judgment pronounced back in Psalm 82 against those corrupt council members.
Wow. So the whole sweep of history, from Eden to Revelation.
It's presented as one long supernatural war over jurisdiction. It's Yahweh reclaiming his world, his inheritance, that was temporarily seated at Babel.
So the big takeaway here seems to be, the sources conclude the divine council is legally disarmed, the age of the giants is over, and the plan for all nations to eventually become Yahweh's inheritance again. The central conflict, legally speaking, is already won.
That's the argument presented.
Which leaves a pretty provocative thought for you listening right now. If the decisive battle for the cosmos has already been legally won, what does that mean for how you live today, in this time between that legal victory and the final wrap-up? Something to think about.